right, everybody, it's time for our third mobility and recovery session of the Fundamentals of Fitness program, or as just a standalone mobility and recovery session. If you're watching this outside of the Fundamentals of Fitness program, this is just going to be an excellent full body mobility recovery flow day. We're going to get the heart rate going a little bit. We're going to be doing some squats and working on some squat recovery stuff today. And also some back spine care kind of deal. So we're going to get right to it now. I'm going to start by foam rolling my lats. I found this week that I've gotten a lot of tension through my lower mid back. Oftentimes it's lat related. We've been doing a lot of pressing and a lot of pulling, and also a lot of highly demanding stability work. So what I want you to do is lie down on the ground. Okay, you're going to get that foam roller right in your armpit region, but more towards the back. So if you come towards the front, we're going to be on the chest. So we want to be right on the back of the armpit area, or the axilla, anatomical term. And you just kind of want to roll up and down until you find one of those super tight spots. And then I want you to bend your elbow from straight to bend. So just like I'm doing here. And that's quite a trigger point, actually. You might find the lats oftentimes will refer pain. So if you have a big old trigger point in your lats, like this one that I'm on right now, I can feel pain referring down into the outside of my elbow and into my hand. And it might feel like numbness and tingling. That's okay. You're just on an active trigger point. So that trigger point is actively causing symptoms. And it's best that you just take the time now to deal with it, because a trigger point is a tight section of muscle, and it can interfere with biomechanics and cause other things to happen downstream, right? So trigger points are often a sign that something's going on, and it's nice to take care of them while you've got them under wraps. So we're just going to go for a few minutes here, rolling the lats. Okay, I'm going to hit up the other side now. We're going to foam roll the lats, and then what we're going to do is an active stretch. So we've done pails and rails contractions in some of our warm-ups, if you watch some of our workout videos. And we'll be doing one of those for the thoracic spine, which is really, and the low back. So kind of just an all-around extension, pails, rails. Driving some active lengthening and control of these muscle groups. This side's significantly better for me. No active trigger points here. Definitely still feeling sore, and I know I got to give this muscle some love, but definitely less happening on this side this week, which is great. And like I said, everybody's different, right? So you might find one side better, one side worse than the other. And that's totally normal. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on some back and lat type stuff. And then we're going to work on some squat stuff. So we're going to work through the ankle, the bottom of the foot, and then some squat transitions. Nice tight spot there. So as always, you're just kind of rolling up and down. Now, when you're foam rolling, it doesn't need to be this active rolling back and forth. So foam rolling just means that this is a roller, right? Like that's just the title of the device. It doesn't necessarily describe the activity. Oftentimes, I'm just slowly exploring the muscle until I find a spot like that. Now, when I find a spot, I want to actively move muscles through that area. So by lengthening the tricep, we're creating tension against the lats and the fascia, and we're getting some muscle layers to start sliding over top of each other a little better. That'll give us better biomechanics, and ultimately that's the goal of foam rolling. It's not really to just smash the crap out of your muscles. Okay, good there. couple reps on each side. Now, what we're going to do is take our mats for something for the knees, get up against the box bench step, kitchen chair, couch, and you're going to sit back on your heels and put your elbows up on the box bench step couch. From this position, you're just going to stretch. So you're going to find that point where you're getting stretched through the lats, so in through here, and you might feel it in your mid to lower back as well. Okay, so just find that nice stretch position. For me, it's right here. And now what you're going to do is I want you to start pressing down into the bench couch step box gently, about 10% of your max effort. And what we're going to do over the next minute is we're going to ramp up to 100%. So I'm going to start pushing down with my elbows. So I'm driving my elbows into the bench here. I'm now getting up to about 25% of my max effort, just increasing the contraction a little bit. Okay, increasing. I'm at about 50% now of pressure putting down into the bench. 60%, 70%, 80, 90. Okay, now I want you to be pushing down into the bench with as much effort as you can muster up. So push, 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 drive those elbows into the bench. And then what you're going to do now is I want you to try as hard as you can to lift your elbows up off the bench and arch your back as far as you can go. Now, you're not going to move here. You're not going to be able to lift your elbows up off the bench if you're doing this right, but you're squeezing every muscle, trying as hard as you can to lift those elbows. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then what I want you to do is relax and stretch a little bit more. Okay, so now we're relaxing and we're in a little bit more of a stretched position. And we're going to do that one more time. So I'm going to get into that stretch position. Good. So hopefully you've gained a little more range of motion, and now we're going to repeat the process. So you're going to push down into the bench gently and ramp up over the course of the next 30 to 60 seconds. We're going to push down, so I'm about 20% now of effort down into the bench. Okay. Let's get up to about 40% of effort, max effort. 50%. 60, 70, 80, 90, max effort, press, 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 push, push, push down into the box, push, push, push. And now I want you to do with all your effort, you're trying to lift those elbows up off the box. Lift, 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 squeeze, arch your spine, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, hold, 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 and relax. A little more stretch, a little more length, and come on up. Excellent work. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is getting down on the mat and doing a developmental position to increase some rotation through the low back. Okay, so down on the mat, I want you to lie on your side in a side plank position with your bottom knee straight out. Okay, so your femur or your thigh bone is 90 degrees from your hip. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just rotate over onto our elbows. So we're going from a side plank, rotating into a front plank. Okay? From here, you should feel a little bit of stretch across your mid back. Okay? All I want to do here is try and get my shoulders to level. So I'm trying to twist my shoulders down into this position. And then I want to add a little bit of force through my knee down into the mat. Okay, so I'm pushing down here, almost like I'm going to cantilever myself up off the mat. So I'm activating the outside of the hip, okay? And then I'm also pushing back with this elbow here, to try and get my chest level to the floor, okay? And all I'm going to do is hold this position here and try and take 5 to 10 really big breaths into my belly. Big belly breaths. 2 more breaths. One more breath. Getting a little more stretch, strain, and extension through the lower thoracic spine or the thoracolumbar junction. Now what we're going to do is switch sides and repeat. All right, we're going to swing around and do the other side now. Okay, so again, side plank position. Bottom leg is going to be at 90 degrees. Okay, all I'm going to do is twist my whole body down until I come onto my elbows. And this is definitely a tighter side for me. And now what I want to do is I'm going to push some effort down here into the floor of the mat with my knee. And I'm going to try and twist my shoulders until they come to a nice level position here. And all I'm going to do here is breathe. 5 big breaths. In through the nose, down into the belly, out through the mouth. One more breath. Perfect. Some nice mobility flow for that low back, lats, extension. Lots of good things happening there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to mobilize the bottom of the foot by doing a little bit of a like a cowboy sit. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to tuck my toes up underneath. I'm going to be in a kneeling position. Okay, I'm going to tuck my toes up underneath, and then I'm going to sit back on my heel, and you'll feel a big stretch through the bottom of your foot, probably more on the inside of the big toe. And I'm just going to sit here and kind of like just shift my weight back and forth a little bit. Sit back, feel a little more pressure. I might shift my foot forward, take a little bit of the pressure off, and I'm just going to sit here for about a minute under tension, trying to mobilize a little bit of that stuff underneath the bottom of the foot. I'm going to try and not get too far bent forward. Okay, so I don't want to really be hunched over my toe here. Now, if this is really uncomfortable, just take a little bit of the weight off. Okay. So that would be like coming forward into more of like a sprinter stance or sprinter position. I'm really going to try and get that mobility through that big toe. Having enough extension through the big toe is a requisite for almost all standing movements. So your foot, especially walking, right? So the big toe is hugely involved in propulsion and walking. But whenever we do any kind of exercise that's weight bearing, control through the bottom of the foot and access to the big toe is vital. If you don't have enough extension through the big toe, so this position, your big toe has to adduct or move inward to be able to propel your body forward properly. That's what creates a bunion. If you have bunions, oftentimes it's going to be because you have pretty poor mobility through this part of the foot. There's certainly other causes, but it's quite common. So I'm going to switch it up and hit the other side now. So again, I'm going to tuck the toes underneath, and then I'm going to sit back on my heels. And just like everything else, one side better than the other, this side feels significantly more comfortable for me here. I'm just going to hang out here. Sit back on those toes. Shift my weight a little bit. Feel around. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to do some toes elevated squats. That's the pads are for. So we're going to elevate our toes onto a little bit of an elevated platform, and we're going to squat in a comfortable range of motion. Now the goal with this being we're trying to increase ankle control and mobility during the squat, because we've been doing a lot of squat patterns and we have a lot more squat patterns coming up in our final week of the Fundamentals of Fitness program that we're in. But squats are in general an excellent exercise, and you want to be able to do a squat really well. And the ankles are a very common limiting factor. We've worked a little bit on the ankles throughout the other 2 mobility videos that we've provided, and in some other videos that we've recorded, but we're gonna do a little more ankle work today. Just feeling through the bottom of that foot. Okay, so I'm gonna stand and I'm gonna come over here to my platform. So you want something that you can elevate your toes, but not too high, okay? You really don't want your toes to be up, like you wouldn't want to do this on a step, okay? And then we're gonna get into our squat stance, and you might need to go just a little bit wider with this squat stance. And then all we're gonna do is squat down until we feel that tension in the front of the lower leg. For me, that's right here. I can feel some tension, and I'm gonna come up and through the squat. Okay, so I'm just gonna do some slow and controlled reps until I feel, you can feel all kinds of activation through the front of the foot. Okay, and coming up and through. Now this is a really, you won't be able to do a deep squat in this position because you're limiting your ankle right at the start. Now what we're gonna do afterwards is go and do heels elevated squats, and they will hopefully feel really, really good for the feet and the ankles. But right now we're challenging that stability just a little bit with toes elevated squats. Knees are coming over the toes, really working that ankle mobility. Chest stays up. You're just going into whatever is a comfortable range. So you're not pushing for depth on this. You're trying to push for control. Feeling it in the front of the lower legs, almost like a shin splint. But what we're doing is really working that tibialis anterior muscle, really getting into the front of the ankle, which is the goal here. Trying to take the ankle away from the squat as being a limiting factor. Okay? Good. So now what I'm going to do is step forward, elevate my heels, and now I'm going to do a squat. And now I feel like I can stay more upright. I can get right down into my hips, come up slow and controlled. Keep that chest upright, stack through the midsection, lower into a comfortable depth, push through the feet. Okay, so we're kind of correcting some squat form and technique here in week 3 because we've been going relatively low and slow. And in week 4, this is kind of some intentional design, we're going to ramp up the pace. Now, when you ramp up the pace, oftentimes you compromise on form and technique. So now we're going to take the opportunity to auto-correct that form and technique. We're driving the neurological control of this movement pattern. And the squat's just a really good way to work through all of those things. Good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the circuit or the series a little bit with a bear position to squat. So I'm going to walk from a bear to a squat. Okay? So we're going to get down into a bear position, okay? And which is really the bottom of a squat. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my legs and hips in this position. I'm just going to walk my torso back into a deep squat. Okay? Now, if you can sit into a deep squat here like this, keeping your chest nice and upright, and hold here for just a second, that's excellent. If you need to walk back into a squat at the bottom, just hold that there, and then I want you to lean forward on your toes. So here now we've got our great toe mobility that we worked on, and you're going to walk back out into a bear position. Okay? Holding that bear position nice and solid, walk back into the squat. If you can, deep squat. So we want to get right down in the bottom, mobilize the hips just a little bit, and then I'm going to push my weight forward, and I'm going to crawl back out into bear position. I'm going to repeat this for a few repetitions. Down, chest nice and upright. And walk out, bear. Now, we're getting the quads fired up a little bit. Working through the legs. That's good. It's good to feel a little burn, get the muscles firing. It's kind of nice to do on your off days just to get that exercise feel. Challenge your body a little bit. And then you're also getting the mobility gains and the recovery gains out of this that we're looking for. Okay, excellent. I'm going to stand up out of my squat. Feeling really good through the hips, really good through the ankles. I'm going to finish this off with a dead hang, okay? Now, you can do a dead hang in a doorway or a door jamb, okay? All you do is hook your fingers onto the door jamb. See if I can do this here, okay? And you're just settling down until you feel like your weight is hanging from your fingertips. So I'm not gonna go and just hang. That's not a smart idea, right? But what we're gonna do is just use our fingertips to create some pull through our upper body and distract our spine. So do that in a doorway. I'm going to use the pull-up bar. If you have a home pull-up bar, then you have an excellent tool to be able to decompress the spine here. And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to let all of my weight go through my arms, okay? And I'm just going to hold here. So now I'm decompressing the spine. Gravity is naturally pulling the spine from my lower body down to the ground, right? Again, if you're hooked onto a door jamb, same thing. You're just letting your weight hang, decompressing the spine, hanging here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to twist my body a little bit to one side. So I'm just going to twist. And then I'm going to twist the other way. So I'm walking my feet around, twisting the other direction. And through here. So again, kind of finishing off with a nice mobility, spinal decompression. We've been bearing a lot of load recently, working on the dumbbells, a lot of body weight exercises against gravity. This is a really awesome way to just decompress straight ahead. Now, if your arms get tired, take a little break, not a big deal, and then just come right back to it where you're hanging there from the door jamb and nice and low. All you need really is something over your head to be able to just hook your fingertips on and create a little bit of tension against gravity to give your spine that decompressive force. Oh, excellent. And that's all I have for you today. Simple little mobility routine, nice and quick, really getting into the foot, the ankle, the squat pattern, a little bit of core activation, getting the lats taken care of, nice and lengthened, a little bit of trigger point release, and then finally some spinal decompression to tie it all together at the end, leave you feeling great on your recovery days. Remember, 1 or 2 times perform this workout this weekend, and next week in your off days, if you enjoy this, some of these mobility exercises or this routine in general, throw this in on your off days between training. Take care of your body, address the areas of weakness, tightness, tension, soreness, and you will be better for it, I promise. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm Dr. Kyle Utley at Delpit Strength and Wellness. We'll catch you in the next video.